backing polluting companies and projects, we would fail to solve the world's biggest environmental crisis. That's what I That was good. This is what I think. It's also the reason behind market forces and the work that we do. That's our logo. That is our awesome team. This is our awesome team at work. Ooh. Basically what we do is we campaign. We're based in Melbourne, but to be honest our work is as active in Australia as it is in Southeast Asia and expanding rapidly, which is kind of why we're here, while we're on this trajectory. We do two main things. We campaign to shift finance and investment away from environmental destruction. That is our big idea, but also we want to leverage that and get others doing the same. So we also help and empower others to do the same kind of work. So yeah, we're change makers. We're campaigners. And when people think about making change and getting big outcomes on big issues, they often think about it in a variety of ways, as far as I've noticed. And when we were creating market forces, this is what we observed. People getting involved as communities, like these farmers who are protecting their land from fracking companies who want to come and exploit the gas underneath their land and put their land and water at risk. Or we think about the halls of power and decision makers. I was going to put a picture of Trump up there, but couldn't bear to do it. But luckily we've got our own version. This is our Prime Minister Scott Morrison showing Australia's Parliament what's inside of his head. And we look at this and it's often very disempowering. But people are right to look at this and think this is where decisions get made, this is where power lies. It's true, and people should work on this. But it's a very blinkered view, or it was at least a blinkered view when we were creating market forces. Because not only are the political wheels greased by lobbyists and companies making massive donations to get their way, but also finance itself is a vital nutrient for the organisation's survival, for the company's survival. This is the world that we live in. This is a schematic I use a lot when we're designing campaigns of our own and helping others to design their campaigns. You put your target in the middle and you look at all the things they need to succeed. Companies need debt to fund their expansion plans and new programs. They need credit ratings to keep the cost of capital low. They need to secure insurance for a company's personnel and operations. They need top-tier investors involved in their companies who can be tapped for capital and whose networks can be leveraged as well to support the company's plans. All of this is fundamental to a company's financial health. And so, with all these potential intervention points in mind, where do we intervene? Everywhere. Absolutely everywhere. We design campaigns, we would design campaigns on pretty much anyone else, but we just have all these opportunities in mind. So we start with research, we do all this work, we understand our campaign targets as deeply as we possibly can, where they're getting funded, what they're funding, what they need, what their risks are, what their vulnerabilities are. We compile data that gets used not just to inform our own work, but we release it to the world, we release it to the community, other organisations. So they can also be informed about where finance is going, where we need to shift it to get outcomes on environmental issues. And like any other target, we just want to understand them as deeply as possible and go for any of these strategies that we think will be successful in any given moment. So we campaign on things like reputation and image, often very significant for us, a great pivot, a great intervention point for us. So we do this kind of work, brand jamming some of the banks, getting this distributed as far and wide as we possibly can, into the media, in front of their customers. We also go engage with key audiences like shareholders, going and making interventions at annual general meetings, signing onto resolutions to try and change the behaviour of a company or get a particular outcome or information out of a company that exposes risks or vulnerabilities that can help us win a campaign. We also do direct staff engagement. I should probably explain this picture. There's an insurance company, QBE, they scored a 0 on a scorecard for climate action, so they scored a donut. So we gave out donuts to their staff to celebrate and also So we engage the rank and file staff, and we do it as positively as we possibly can. But obviously this is us delivering our work, and it's really key, the role that we play in supporting others to do their work. So I mean, it's true for us that like any organisation, any part of a movement, our success depends on people power. You know, we're nothing without bank customers, shareholders, pension fund account holders engaging the custodians of their money. And in turn, the great thing is that we get to empower them while they're empowering us. They have agency over what their money is doing. And that's a really key driving force and where we tap a lot of our own power. But beyond the people that get involved in our campaigns, we empower the rest of the environment movement. It's such a privilege to be able to support people like these traditional owners who have a proposal to build a coal mine on their ancestral land, and us helping get them an audience with major banks so they can lobby those banks successfully as they did with Standard Chartered to pull out of that project. Our work, as I said before, is increasingly in Southeast Asia, and so we often play a role relaying critical information about the risks, about the impacts, about corporate malfeasance, about bribery, about community suppression to banks that otherwise would not hear about it at all. We often do it privately, but sometimes, like this full-page ad we have in the Financial Times with a bunch of other organisations, we'll deliver it very publicly. And because our campaigns are based on research and analysis groups like these guys, a bunch of doctors who are campaigning their pension funds to drop fossil fuels because of pollution risks, and people who just, oh, it's bad resolution, sorry, but people who just randomly pick up our work and run with it, changing Commonwealth Bank to Coal Bank and mucking around with billboards. This is all leveraging the work that we do in our office. So, alright, that's fun and that's all good stuff, but what's the impact that we're having? So in the last few years, I mean, look, we're part of a movement, so we need to stop. All right, how about this? 50 organisations walking away from one of the biggest coal projects proposed in Australia. Australia's banks reducing their exposure to fossil fuels by billions of dollars a year for the last couple of years and saying no to new coal projects. Companies having to disclose their climate risks. Pension funds worth about $500 billion divesting from fossil fuels or giving their members options to do the same. QBE, the insurer I showed you before, saying we're going to stop being involved in thermal coal by 2030. Even the banks in Southeast Asia that we were really concerned about funding new coal, dropping it as well. So I'm going to get out of here now. That's our future unless we scale this up. That's our future unless we scale this up. How much we scale this up? Well, that's a question for all of us. Thanks.